sometimes you think you've planned everything out perfectly and orchestrated all these wonderful moments of instruction, and then you realize that somewhere in the midst of things, files either overwrite other files or I don't know. I made 3 videos about shapes, Pathfinder, and alignment. And upon uploading them, they were all the same one, which sucks because there's so much investment into that moment of going through files to make things work. And so I'm just going to do it over. And welcome to 2023. And I'm going to go through alignment. And so alignment today, we're going to go mostly just like dealing with shapes and text elements and how alignment is like kind of our hero. I will also touch base on a few transformation things that are also hero moments that we should all be key on and savvy with as we move forward with our own designs. So I am kind of flying a little bit by the seat of my pants. Bear with me. And if I go at some point and be like, oh yeah, right, you're supposed to also know this, then that's fine, because those are the moments that like it would happen if we were in class together. Okay. Yay. And is this set up the same? Is it supposed to be? Is this good? Is it good? I think it's good. Whatever. It's an echo. But here we go. Alignment. First thing, I drew a shape, and we've already seen shapes because that was the one that was repeated 3 times, called shapes, called alignment, called Pathfinder. But this is a great place to pick up. So I drew a shape. Here's a square. And at this point, we should all know how to use the shape tools that are here for us, the rectangles, the ellipse, polygon, star, line, whatever. I'm just going to use the rectangle. So as a reiteration of things that we should know how to clone shapes or copy and paste things, this is really critical. So if I wanted another square next to this one, it'd be very easy for me. I'm going to hold down Option, and you can see how that cursor changes to the 2 arrows, the black arrow and the white arrow kind of overlapping. I can now drag a new shape away. But if I also held down Shift at the exact same time, it would keep it locked into an alignment that is horizontal, or if I went down, vertical, or if I was on the side, a 45 degree. So you can see how it kind of pops. I am not letting go of the keys on my keyboard. I currently have Option and Shift held down. So that says, yep, we want to make sure that we're in alignment either vertically or at 45 diagonal or horizontally. So this is cool, right? This is great. But what if you don't do that? What if you just did a copy and it ended up like over here? And you were like, shoot, well, I want that one to be aligned to the other one. This is where alignment comes in. Pay close attention. Alignment is an attribute in the properties window. It also has its own window. So if I wanted to get its own window up, I'd go to Window, Align. But I don't need to, because in my properties panel, I see that there's an area here for Align. So if I was to select the 2 of these, you have to basically define what your design goal is for Illustrator for it to do the computation. So if I said, hey, I want you, and I want you, so I held down Shift. So now both squares are selected. I could then go to my Align panel, and I can pick from all of these different options. So this is Align Horizontal Left. This is Align Horizontal Center, Align Horizontal Right, Align Vertical Top, vertical center, vertical bottom. So those are like the just the options right here in this window. There's also this little pop down that says, well, what are you trying to align to? And I'd be like, well, I'm trying to align to either the selection or the key object or the artboard. And these are all very important things for us to know what the differences are. So right now I have two things selected. That is a selection. So if I was to say, okay, well, I want them to be aligned on a horizontal center, then I would leave it on selection and I'd go to horizontal. That's vertical. I get mixed up myself. Vertical. So this is, we're talking about the Y, not the X. If I click on this, boop, they both adjusted. Now they are vertically aligned, but not where either of them used to live. They both moved to become aligned to each other, but maybe that was not what I was hoping for. So I'm going to hit undo. What happens if I say I would like that rightmost square to be aligned vertically to the left one that I set up for my original design? So that is where we have to designate our key object. So I'm going to unclick. I just clicked off in the nowhere land. If I click on this one and then I hold shift and click on the right one, but then let go of shift, notice my hands, they're not clicking on anything at this point, and I do a secondary click on the left one, it ends up with this extra blue highlight. I have now defined the key object, and that is what this little pull down is going to now understand. Oh, you want to align to the key object. So if I said that I would like to align it to any of these verticals, since they're the same size, it wouldn't matter if it was top, center, or bottom. It's going to say, okay, I'm not going to move that first one that is the key. The key square is the one that is the master, and I want everything to align to it. So that is what a key object means. So the cool thing about that is that if I took this one back down, and maybe I'll even make it smaller. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make several of them of different sizes. And talk about what key object means. So one key object on the left, I'll hold down shift and I'll select the other ones. They're all selected. At this point, Illustrator doesn't really know what I want to do. So if I hit align to the vertical top, it'll adjust them based on the last one I clicked on. If I hit vertical center, it'll also just change them all based on actually the first one I clicked on. But if I go back to this idea of a key object and I click on the very first leftmost square, again, we see that it has an extra highlight. This is now the key. My align options understand that I have identified a key, and I can either say let's align to the top. And so now all of those boxes are aligned to the very top of the key object, or I could say align to the center, or I could align to the bottom. And it's all based on that first object that I selected, which is really super handy. Like, this is going to save your life over and over and over again in the world of design. It's cool. So what is not happening is that we don't have any sort of like equal spacing between these things, or perhaps an orientation to the artboard. So the last one is align to the artboard. So if I have it set to align to the artboard, and I say I'd like you to be at the top, then it'll move the top of all of those elements to 0, Y on my artboard. So boom, now they're all aligned to the very top of it. If I said to the bottom, they're all going to go to the bottom. The middle, they will be in the middle. So this is really super handy when you're doing design work and you're trying to like figure out how to get either separate objects or groups of objects to present themselves in a way that feel like they are properly aligned in your artboard. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is distribution. So right now I have 4 objects selected. If I click off of them, I can click back on, say 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're kind of like, they're not evenly distributed. So what if I went to this little pull-out menu that says, hey, let's talk about not just alignment, but distribution of objects or distribution of spacing based on the same things we've been talking about. Is it to the artboard? Is it to the selection? Or is it to a key object? So like right now, I might just say, well, let's leave it to the artboard and see what happens if I evenly distribute my spacing horizontally. So it puts the first square up to the edge on the left, the last square up to the edge on the right, and then the little ones are perfectly spaced so that we can see that the space from here to there, from here to there, and here to there are all perfectly in alignment. That's awesome. If I hit undo and put it back, hey, to where it was, and I want to base it on the selection that I have, so I don't care about the artboard, I'm just saying, hey, this is the area that I want my elements to be distributed evenly throughout. I would put it to my selection, and then I would say distribute this evenly horizontally. And now you see that those little squares just went doo-doo-doo-doo, and everything is still perfectly distributed, but I have not overtaken the artboard any more than I wanted to. This can be done either horizontally or vertically. So by example, I'm going to hit delete, and I will make polygons. So polygon, and then another one here, another one. Oh, I did not do that correctly. Fine. Why? There we go. Who knows what was just happening there. But if I wanted to talk about these in a vertical sense, I could say, well, I like, where this one is, but I want the other ones to be distributed or vertically aligned to that one. So this would become my key object. I click on it. Then I would say, let's go to a horizontal alignment center. And you go, okay, well now they're all aligned horizontally, vertically, but they kind of run into each other. So what would happen if I said, what if we distributed these things based on my selection to distribute the spacing vertically? So it totally did distribute them vertically, and now they became almost kind of like this honeycomb thing. It would be different if I took this one and made it even further down and then selected them. I still have it set to my selection. So if I say distribute spacing vertically, boop, 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 and they all land up wonderfully side by side vertically, not side by side, but on top of each other with the exact same spacing between each of them. And as you can obviously tell, like, this is a huge benefit for doing design. So those guys, I'll make go away. Text, same thing with text. Align me up over here. Well, what if over here was up here and I needed align me up to be aligned with the over here? Over here is going to be my key object. So I'm going to click on it a second time after I did shift. So I click on one, hold shift, click on another, one last click. It is now highlighted in blue, and I'm going to say, you are my key object, and I would like to align either center or vertical top. And now I know that those are text elements that are aligned up. But what if I had one here and one over there, and I knew that they needed to be centered in my artboard? Then I would click both of them. And this gets tricky. So watch this. If I say that I would like to align it based on my artboard, and I would like to align them in the center, it puts them both in the center. You go, like, oh crap, that's not what I wanted. So undo. You have to group them. So I will go to Object, Group, or Command G. Now they are grouped together. So if I go back to Align, make sure that I am on Artboard, and I want to align center, it aligns them center. So I know that the distance between the left edge of the artboard, the right edge of the artboard are exact and consistent. That's pleasant. You'll do the same thing with like bodies of text. So here's a body of text, there's a body of text. You want to make sure that they are aligned to each other, so you'll click one of them to be the master or the key, and you'll find a line, and you'll say, I want you to go to the top. Boom, so they're done. And now, since they're both selected, I can move them up and do something like that. All right, so then the last one, just kind of a reminder about things of alignment. I have all these circles, but if I were to try to align them on a vertical center, they'll probably run into each other. So what if I wanted to make them smaller? And this is just kind of a recap on object transformation. So if I say I'd like to change the scale, I could do scale, but it's only going to do one of them. It's not going to do all of them. So if I do say transform each, then it gives me a window where I can say, okay, scale, maybe it's 60 by 60. So that just changed the scale on all of these things, which is really awesome. Make sure you get used to doing that, because it's going to also save your butt down the long run. So I go, okay, this is a group of circles. I want them to be evenly spaced throughout my artboard. So maybe I know that I want this one sort of like kind of close over here, and that one kind of close over there. I can select them all. I can go to my alignment and say, hey, all right, first of all, I want you to be evenly distributed along the vertical center. So I click on it and it goes boop. Why did it do that? Because it was set to artboard. Boom. Does it matter at this point? No, because I can still be in control. But now I want to distribute that spacing between them. So I'll go to my little flyout menu on this and go evenly distribute based on, no, not the artboard, on selection. So boom. And now they are evenly spaced across the selection that I had, but they might not be aligned for the artboard. So this is where the grouping comes back. I go object, group. Now they are grouped as one. If I click on one, they're all selected. And at this point, I can go to align and say, what am I aligning to? I'm aligning the artboard, be in the center, and it'll slightly adjust them. And I know that they are perfectly centered to my artboard. So what happens if I get a whole bunch of these? Oh my God. That's a group, that's a group, that's a group, that's a group. How do I know? Because if I click on one, they all get selected. So then how would I evenly distribute those across this whole thing? I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4 as a selection. Bam. I would like to evenly distribute you vertically. Bam. So now this is perfectly spaced between all of those guys. It's super cool. It's super helpful. that is all I'm going to cover for alignment and distribution. And I just encourage you to play with it, because it's one of those things that takes a little bit of, some clicking and some understanding of what the dynamics are between artboard selection and key object. You can't align anything with one object. You have to have at least two, but it makes way more sense if you have more than two, because you get to see it kind of demonstrated in that fashion. So play with that. I hope that was helpful, and I'm going to work on the next one. We'll knock it out.